In this exercise, we'll be writing the unit test cases and we'll see different types of unit testing. Now there are two types of unit testing: logic unit testing, application logic unit testing. Now basically what is unit testing? Unit testing is basically testing a smallest unit of your code. The smallest unit of your code is basically a function. So, uh, so for logic unit testing, we only test the functional testing. But whenever there is a involvement of a view, we say it's an application unit testing. So when you test only the model functionality, we call it logic unit testing. When you check integrity between model and a view, we say it's an application, because application is nothing but where your model meets the view. So in this exercise, we'll be doing first only the logic unit testing. Now before that, you click on your view controller file, which is already selected, and here you see target membership. So by default, it's only attached to your project 1 target. You want that your view controller object can also be created in project 1 test. So project 1 tests is basically your test application which will perform all your unit testing. So it's built in nowadays in Xcode. You don't have to use any third-party integration and everything. So if you want to create any object, mock object in your test classes, you need to make sure that that object is available in that particular target as well. So you just have to check this. Now after you check this, you are authorized to create the view controller object inside the project 1 test. So let's go to this file, which is called your test suite. It basically, your iOS uses XC test. Every platform has its own way of using a unit testing framework. Now here you have two methods: setup and tear down. Setup is basically where you will be creating your mock objects. Tear down is place where you will be releasing those mock objects. Now whenever you create a test case, you have to write function followed by the test word and then followed by your name of the function, whatever you want to test. Now when you write test, it understands it's a test case and it will execute while running your unit tests. So now I have to perform tests. So they have put some predefined, some sample test cases for your reference, but we will be using our own. So I'll be first declaring the variable called test controller, which is of type view controller. Now basically I have already bind this view controller to be a part of this project as well. Now in setup, I'll be creating the mock object of the controller. I'll say view controller. In tear down, I'll say test controller equal to nil. Now I have to create my function. So test class. So I'll say test convert into string. So I want to test this particular function. Your test functions do not return any type, so they are always void. Now here I have to call this function to pass them string. So in testing, you first create one expected output and then you check with the actual output. So I'll say where expected value is equal to 10, suppose, where actual value, you will say test controller dot convert string to int, and here you will pass 10 as the value. Now you have println, which prints the logs. Now there's something called asserts, right? Remember when we were creating singleton class in the SQLite module, you have assert. It checks for a condition. If a condition is true, it will go to next line. Else, if a condition is false, it will throw an exception in the console. So your unit test framework is based on the asserts. So here we have to write XCT asserts, and here you have plenty of asserts. Assert if equal, not equal, nil, not nil, true, non-true. So I'll say equal. Okay, there you have to pass two values. So I'll say expected value, actual value, and if both are not equal, so I'll say expected value is not equal to actual value. So if both values differs, it will give you an exception. So it's an optional value, it returns an optional value, right? So now if you just have to click this, it will run your test case. So you will build your project, run your application, close your application, and says test succeed. So it gives you green signal saying that your text is successful. So whatever value you are expecting, you are getting as an expected value. Suppose I change 10 to 1 and again I run this test case. I'll say test fail. This test got failed saying 10 is not equal to 1, means expected value 10 is not equal to actual value 1. So this is how we write our unit test cases. Similarly, now in next exercise I'll write, so let's say we'll write one more function saying test add 10 to input. Here we'll say where, so we'll just call this, copy this entire code, and I'll say expected value is say 22, and I'll say add 10 to input. Now here you cannot write this code because it involves your view. So it's an application unit testing. So that will be covering in the next exercise. So I just want you to delete this, and we'll go to next exercise where we'll have to delete the other one, and we'll be writing application logic unit test.